Good morning, everyone. My name is Alex Hunt. I'm a consultant with IBIS. Today I'm going to be sharing a brief overview of RapidValue and how we use it at our implementations at IBIS. On the agenda today, there's a few things I'm going to cover. The first thing is I'm going to define what BPM is and why it's important. And then secondly, as I'm showing you how IBIS uses RapidValue, I'll actually go into the system, into Dynamics AX 2012, and show you what these different processes are, strategies, and how we define our scopes and gaps within AX 2012. First off, BPM and business modeling. Basically, this is all centered around a business process that is a collection of related structured activities or tasks that produce a specific service or product. There's three main types of business processes. The first one is a management process. Typical management processes include corporate governance or strategic management. The second is operational processes, and these constitute the core of the business and create a primary value stream. Typically, our operational process would be purchasing, manufacturing, marketing, or sales. And then the third type of business process is a supporting process. And these examples include accounting, recruitment, and technical support. Here's a glimpse of what a business process looks like in RapidValue. As you can see, it's very visual. It's easy to see which role is involved at which step in the process, whether that's a sales manager or sales clerk. We found that it's much easier to train people when you have a clear visual document and you have each one of their processes documented beforehand, so they know everything they'll need to do in Dynamics AX that performs all of their job functions they do currently. Now I'm going to go into the system so you can take a look at how we use RapidValue. As you can see, it's just an add-on module into Dynamics AX. Here it is, RapidValue. And the way we use this is we've organized many different business processes in this process library, and we have chosen which processes work best for which industry and which vertical we are implementing at. So we'll have a library of flows and activities that encompass every single process that our customers will need. They're all mapped out. They all have flows, they all have individual tasks lists, and we basically pick and choose which ones best suit our verticals. And I'm just in a test environment right now, so you're going to see a lot of things like test and initials for test solutions. But each solution, as I click on it, will open up, and it'll be a large list of every single process that the organization will use, whether it's in marketing, sales, engineering, operations, HR, finance, or project management. And then within each bucket, there are header buckets that have more specific processes underneath. And as I highlight each process, I can see what that entails in a step-by-step list. And each one of my processes and flows is attached to each one of these headers. So it's very easy to see as I'm going through a project what is involved in the project, what processes do I need to focus on. When I'm going through training on site, I can see who I'm going to be training and what processes I need to cover very easily, and it's very standardized from project to project. I'm going to close this. So as we're starting a project, we'll identify which vertical our customer belongs to, and we'll copy each one of these solution sets, whether that's manufacturing or distribution or even more specific down to advanced distribution for electrical distributors. We'll take that model and we'll copy it to a customer solution. And that's where these reside underneath solutions, customer solutions. And I already created one for an example, but in our system we would have a customer solution for each one of our customers. So it will all be centralized and organized here on one form where I can look into, if I'm working on multiple projects at once, I can drill into the different processes for each customer. The first step we'll do when we're copying a business solution to a customer solution is we'll sit down with the customer, we'll click on the strategy button, and we'll see what are the most important things to their senior management that they want to get out of Dynamics AX 2012, and we'll rank those as far as how importance goes, and then we'll sit down and we'll determine what metrics we'll use to measure those goals. So as an example, one of the goals for this customer was to increase their win ratio, and it was of very high importance to them, and their logic was that for strategic growth, for us as a strategic target equals growth, if they can win more deals and grow the company. And if I scroll down here, I can see the metrics that they chose to use to measure the win ratio. And their objective is to have 40% by the year 2013. I can drill into these metrics to see more specifically how they're going to measure this using Dynamics AX 2012. So I'll click win ratio. It'll open this more detailed window, and they can further define it, add descriptions on how they choose to measure this. And then if I look at the details, I can see that they're going to be using a standard KPI, a key performance indicator out of Dynamics AX 2012. And from working with it in the past, I know that there's a standard KPI out of the sales and marketing module that measures this win ratio from how you're converting your opportunities to quotes to customers. So all that's right out of the box, and they have an easy way to see it and measure it. Let me close through this. The next thing we'll do with the customer solution is we'll take a look at their organization, what roles they've defined within their organization. Contoso is the example organization here at the top, and as you can see, I have this hierarchy, this tree structure and it highlights each area of their organization. So if I wanted to drill into the sales team, I could click here and I can see the roles that they have in the organization are two sales reps, a sales manager, and a sales clerk. And I can even see the person's name. So when I'm designing my processes, or if I'm going into training, I know which role is going to be performing each process, and even at a more detailed level, I know which person I'm going to be training on site for that particular week. Close out of this. I also have the solution view that copied over from my business solution into my customer solution. And again, I have different breakdowns for each category, each bucket, and I can drill into each individual one. So for instance, if I clicked on offer solution to customer as the business process that I'm going to be conducting training on, I have a visual representation of who's performing which part of the task. And if I highlight one of the brackets, I can see what the procedure is and where to click within the system to perform the function. And also, if I click on one of these groupings, it'll open another window, and I can get a step-by-step procedure that I can keep open in AX while I perform the job function and conduct training. So as you can see, it tells me where to click. It tells me to go to the sales and marketing module, common forms, sales quotations, open all quotations, and then it steps me through it using example screenshots from the system so I can make sure that I'm in the correct location within the system, and it really walks me through it without having to print out training documents or keep up with any type of paper. This is all managed within the system. I'll close out of here. The next thing I want to show you is this Implement tab that we use. And we use this for a number of reasons. The first of which is we'll define the scope of a project by going through the hierarchy of processes and determining which processes the customer wants to implement. So if I expand some of these nodes here, on a high level I can see that what's in scope and what's out of scope for my customer. If it's green, that means every underlying process is in scope and will need to be covered in training and throughout the implementation. So I can drill down into, for my customer model, for the marketing department, I want to analyze the marketplace and I want to be able to analyze the market share and competition. So I have to have procedures in place for that and conduct that training for the end users. I can see that all of these things in green are in scope. Now, when something is in yellow, that means that some processes within this folder are in scope and some are out of scope. So I can quickly drill into this and I can see that for the human resources department, some processes are going to be in scope and some are out of scope. And as I drill into this, I can see that managing the work environment and managing the workforce are out of scope. Also, as I'm sitting down with the customer, I can easily click these buttons to move things in and out of scope with these 2 clicks. So this can really cut down on the project management times because it's already organized, it's already laid out in front of you, and it really makes the conversations with the customer go much more quickly and more efficiently. And I can also see that, for instance here, if I take one entire folder in and out of scope, I'm changing all of the scope of the child processes beneath the folder. So I can quickly go into finance and say finance is all in or out of scope depending on the customer's needs, and I don't have to click through every single process to do that. I can do it on a high level, which also saves time and is more efficient. Well, now after I perform the exercise with the customer, I also have the ability to publish a scope document. So typically in the past we've used statements of work that our project managers have typed up and spent some project management time using. This allows us to speed up that process and give us a starting point. Here's an example of what a scope statement will look like, how it's all broken down with a standard introduction in a Word document that interfaces back to Dynamics AX. And as I scroll through it, each process will be filled in with their goals that they've set up and what's in and out of scope that I've defined within Dynamics AX 2012. Now this also follows our sure step methodology that we follow in all of our projects, so it's right in line with how Microsoft suggests the best practice of running these projects. The next step of the process is to verify from what's in scope that everything is, we need to verify what's a fit and what's a gap. So we perform a very similar exercise going through the hierarchy of these processes and drilling into them and deciding if each individual process is a fit or if each individual process is a gap. And as I take things in and out of fits and gaps, I can see what the requirements might be to make up for the gap. And I can assign how many hours of development that might be, and I can make notes as to what needs to be added in order to make the process a fit. So for example, for underneath the Human Resources Department, motivating workforce and managing performance, I can see that there's a requirement that's a high priority that's going to take about 8 hours of work, and it's using the AX 2012 application. And then in the definition, I could have a very detailed definition or a very simple one that they want to have buttons added to the screen or show what. And each individual gap would have different requirements. And then I can add requirements very easily as they come up on a project. So this is just an example. And the rating is medium or average. And it's going to take about 3 hours. Then I can put in notes that myself, AH, needs to call dev as a first step. To add buttons to form. Now this is all centralized, so whether or not any of my team members look at this, they can see what the requirement is and which team member is handling each requirement. And likewise, with the verifying the processes, you can also analyze these gaps. So when I click this button, instead of showing me every single process the customer signed up for, it's showing me just the gaps. So in a very organized manner, if I'm going through a team meeting call, I can bring up the gaps and make sure everything's accounted for within the team. What I was about to say is, likewise with printing our scope documents, this publish function also generates a gap analysis. So in the past, when we've done a gap fit analysis in a spreadsheet, this is just a little bit more automated, where it's in a Word document, it's broken out with a table of contents, and I can see what processes have the gaps and my requirements copy into the Word document with the hours and with my comments, and as long with priority. So I can see everything in a very, very easy way in this automated document. We'll close out of here, and I want to go back to the main screen for RapidValue. Now, everything that I've shown so far is one particular example of how we would use a customer solution. But keep in mind that all of these processes, all of these flows and activities are all in one central location. So I can copy common processes from one customer to the other, and that saves a lot of time in the budget for the project if I've already done the work and we already have the expertise within a vertical to know what's going to be a fit, what's going to be a gap, what's a common requirement for this type of customer, what have we done in the past, how long has the development taken. So it's a repository and a knowledge base for all of our consultants to come up to speed, to share all of this information so we can improve our projects. And that's basically, in summary, why we use RapidValue, why we believe it adds value to our customers. We use it internally. You also have the option to implement RapidValue as an add-on module for your company. And then with that, you get all of these standard flows and activities that we have internally to use for training so that your employees could use them as well. And that's also an option. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email info@ibisinc.com, or if you have anything in particular you want to reach out to me about, my email address is ahunt@ibisinc.com. Thank you for your time.